Hello everybody, welcome back. Got something slightly different, not something I normally do. Ran a late model fixed series race from Myrtle Beach this week. Had an issue with it recording. Luckily saved the replay. It was a really good race, so I wanted to show you guys this. So calling this from the replay, so there's some things missing, but gonna try to call it like I would if I was actually driving it still. It's still close. I threw up both the standings and the relative, so that way, since there's no mirrors, you guys have a view of who's around me, and I'm, like I said, going to try to call this the best as I can as live. So, starting off in 8th place, qualified a little bit behind where I should be. Pretty tight qualifying from 2nd through, it was either 9th or 11th. We were all like a 10th apart. The one was quite a bit quicker, so we'll see if he pulls away. Not the normal one that I've been racing with, but still expect some good things out of him. So, outside line, not quite as bad of a death wish at Myrtle Beach, but still tough, so gonna try to make it work, see if I can not fall too far from the back on the restart, or on the initial start. See when the leader decides to go. We are going green. Inside line did not get a good start at all. The 10 just did not get going, so I'm gonna try to slot inside of the 70s, the 76 on the outside, right behind the 2 up ahead, and you've got the 5 outside of him. Just going to try to keep it off of the 7 on the inside, but not get on the throttle too hard. I don't want to slide the rear end and heat up the right rear, make it hard to get drive off later on. But I need to keep the power up to try to keep this inside line and get by the 7. Oop, that's what I was talking about. A little bit too much throttle there coming out of turn 2, slid it a little bit. 5 sliced out in front of me is inside of the 11, who is the 91 on the car. Still battling with the 7 on my outside. Front 3 have gotten single file. We're still side by side. The 5's trying to single file his way out as well. So you can see, not quite as quick as the 1, which is not unexpected, although I wanted to be a little bit closer than that. And we closed the gap up a little bit there that time. Just trying not to overdrive turn 1. Thankfully clear of the 10 and the 7. So able to do that little loose there off of turn 2 again. 2 is on the outside now of 3. Trying to make a pass on the outside. Seeing is the 5 going to get to the outside of the 3. Trying to figure out who's going to go where. They're going to go side by side. So I'm going to keep trying to run my line, but if they're going to run side by side and I close up, I think... I don't know, I'll watch and see how slow the 3 is, because the outside, if you're quite a bit quicker, looks like it's possible, but I don't want to also get myself in a bad spot and have the 10 or the 7 try to get to my inside. Got to check up there a little bit to stay off of the 3, and then a little too much throttle there on 4. Just trying to defend that inside from the 10. Hit the turtles. Thankfully, the 10 was not to my outside. If you hit the turtles, it can send you up the track. Looks like everybody's taking later entries into both 1 and 3 than I am, so something I can experiment with, but I don't want to deviate too far from what I was practicing, just because if I'm not good at that later entry, I don't want to give up time to the cars behind. I would be pretty happy with 5th place finish right now. It is ahead of where I'm supposed to finish. Everybody's single filing out now for the most part. The 10 and the 7, the 12 behind is also single filed out. Somewhat even gaps behind. Looks like kind of somewhere in the middle, kind of close to the pace of the leader. 3 cars in front are all a little bit faster than me, but for the most part, everybody pretty close in lap times right now. Overdrove turn 3 there, kind of slid it up off that inside wall. Gotta minimize that, because that'll heat up that right front and make it hard to have turn later on in the race. Felt somewhat decent coming into this race, but I know I'm still struggling at figuring out how to get this car quick without overdriving it and wearing the tires out. It was fastest lap of the race for me that time by. Still very early on. A little less than 40 laps to go. It's like the 1's starting to fall off a little bit. 2 is closing in on him. See that gap visually is down. 5, the 3, and myself are all pretty even, and kind of got the same thing going on behind with the 10, the 7, and the 12. 10's been hanging about a car width, or car length behind me or so. About the same gap as what I've been doing with the 3. Maybe a little bit closer. 7 and the 12 are pretty much equal distance apart. 10. This is in this phase early on in the race where I'm trying to keep the pace up to see if I can try to close up to these guys or stay with them, but I don't want to overdrive the tires trying to keep up with them and then hurting myself later on in the race. Closing in on the 1/3 mark. Once across the line, got 15 laps down, 35 to go. Lap times are really starting to come close to each other across the field. Like everybody's now within a 1/10 of each other, actually a little less than a 1/10 that last time by. Looks like we're closing up on the 3 a little bit. 10 and the 7, still the same gaps behind. 7's pulling away from the 12 a little bit. Use that radar a little bit more for calling cars inside and outside, but just out the front you can see, and then the 10 out behind us. 10 and the 7 closing back up to me. 7 a bit quicker the last time by. You can see the 2 is almost to the back bumper of the 1 at this point. They're pulling away a little bit from us. I don't think I have a shot at either one of them. Honestly, might be tough to even get up to 3rd. I maybe have a shot at the 3, but completing a pass here when you're closing lap times takes a while. And we're still 3/10 back. Kind of trying a little bit of a throttle flip in the center of the corner to help rotate it, get back off of it, let it settle, and then back on the throttle, try to keep the exits as straight as possible to avoid sliding the rear end, not heating up that right rear, but also keeping as much momentum off the corner as possible. Just have a problem kind of like there that wasn't quite as bad, but a little bit of an over rotation on the exit of the corner. Really focused in practice trying to not hear too much tire scrubbing into the corner, you know, not too much of that squealing, and then really trying to minimize it out of the corner as well. We drove turn 3 a little bit there, but I feel like I'm doing a little bit better for me. We're closing in on the halfway mark. It's like the 5 might be falling off a bit as the 3's catching him. We've fallen back from the 2. Top 2 are just still almost nose to tail right now. 7 to get by the 10. 12 is falling further back from that battle, so pulled away from the 7 and the 10 a little bit. They're still almost nose to tail with each other. A little bit of a slide there out of turn 2. Gonna be halfway done the next time by. See if the 3 continues to close up to the 5 on the lap times. Yeah, just ever so slightly. It's a couple hundredths at a time. Kind of followed the 3 there into catching the turtles just on the exit of turn 2. And I have a really bad turn 3 there. Well, the 5 gets loose on exit of turn 4. I did as well. So that's going to allow the 3 to the inside of the 5 is go back into turn 1. I'm going to try to take that inside line. The 5's slower. I can stick close to the 3 and might be able to freight train him and get by him. And also allow the 7 close. He's just off the back bumper. 3's tried to do what he can on the inside. It's hard to get the momentum on the inside. Just sitting right behind them. They're still side by side. I'm trying to do what I can to get to the back bumper of the 3 and get by the 5. Now we've got the 7. He's potentially going to be looking to the outside. He's to my outside at this point, so there's 4 of us here, 2x2 running. Radar doesn't really show up. The 7 is the outside. The 5 was able to slide in right behind the 3. I was not able to finish, close that gap and get inside of the 5 to finish a pass off. So now I'm battling with the 7 to my outside while trying to see if I can get to the inside of the 5. He's still up ahead. A little bit of contact with the 7. Oh, that kicks me loose. Looks like he might have hit the wall. He falls back. The 10 gets by him. Put me in a really bad entry into 3. We'll have to look and see, lap 29, what happened there between the 7 and I. But I was able to keep it off of the wall. Didn't hit the inside wall, so we press on. 20 to go when we cross the line. But now I am a second back of the 5, second and a half back of the 3. So that might have sealed the fate for 5th place finish. Less than half the race to go, but I'm trying to do what I can. 7 gets back by the 10, so he's clearly got pace. He was faster last time by than me. 412 still stuck in 8th. Last time by, it was almost a 10th quicker than the 3 and the 5. If I can have that kind of pace advantage every lap, we can close this gap down. This could be close, though. Just gotta keep it from the car slide and try to carry as much momentum as I can. I don't think I'm quite at the point where I can lean on the right front and be okay. The 3 overshoots the corner there into 3. Goes high. The 5's just not quite able to get to his inside up ahead, so they're still single file. A little bit of a mistake there out of the 3. Keeping almost even pace with the 7. He's about a car length or so behind, maybe a little bit more than that. And still 10th, if not more, faster than the cars in front. So what was a 1 second gap to the 5 is now just about 8 tenths, 7 tenths or so. So we're chopping a good amount off, and we're still going to have 15 laps to go and across the line. 5 is close back, almost to the back bumper of the 3. So 5 was falling back, 3 took advantage, got by him, and now it seems like it's roles reversed. The 3's falling off on pace and the 5's catching him. I don't know if that might have been maybe the 3 when he was driving the inside. Maybe he was leaning on the right front a little bit too much, and it's kind of killing him now in terms of pace. Although that time he was a little bit quicker than the 5. Still quicker than them. The 2 still hasn't been able to get by the 1. He's fallen back a little bit. Only a couple hundredths off of both of them, though, so pretty happy with that. Might not be close on track, but somewhat close in pace, which makes me happy for learning progress. Closing on 10 to go. 13 coming out of pits, no issue. He was still on the access road out. I haven't really seen any wrecks. This has actually been a really clean race up. Just as I say that, we got the 9 parts on the inside, the front stretch, but overall, I've not seen smoke, haven't seen, cars turned all over the place. 13 car field's not huge, but not small either. So not bad that way. 3 has started to pull back away from the 5. I have closed into the 5 big time. Now just a 10th behind him. Catch the turtles again. Thankfully, 7's quite a bit back, so nobody on the outside to worry about. It didn't really kill the momentum too bad. Trying to see what I can do to get to the inside of the 5, see if I can kick him up a lane to take away that inside line. Just not quite there yet. Looks like the leaders might be in lap traffic. You got the 9. It's the first one. That was the car that was on the inside of the wall in the front stretch out of 4. Trying to look to the inside, just still not quite there on the 5. I think the best bet, looks like he might be getting tight. So I think the best bet might be to try to, oh, we got a wreck up ahead. Trying to stop. Hope it doesn't lock down. There goes the 7 on the outside, but somehow able to keep it straight. I don't know what just happened to the 5. He was on the inside, now he's not there. That's going to sort me out to 3rd. So that involved the 2, it looks like. The 1's still the leader. We saw the 7 drive by on the outside, and now I'm sitting third. Wow. Yeah, definitely gonna have to take a look and see what happened there. I have no idea what all started that. 7 grabbed the wall out of turn 4 on the front stretch. Last time by, it was a little bit quicker than him. 7/10 is the gap, and I'm only gonna have 6 laps to close it, so we're gonna need a little more than a tenth a lap to get there and potentially have time to make a pass. Looks like cars on pit road. Still holding the same gap, although we were a little more than a tenth faster. It's gonna be tough to close this one down. But I'm not gonna complain about a third place finish at all. Got a little loose there out of 4. Kind of pushed it tight, then had to crank on the wheel to get it to rotate right at the exit to keep it off the wall. Got slidey, but the 7 having big issues there through 1 and 2. I don't know what happened. Well, we just chopped that gap in half. Closing in on him big time. See if we keep it going. Last time by, a quarter of a second faster than the 7. Could have a race on the hands. Only gonna have 3 laps to settle when across the line, but there is certainly the possibility of battling with them. You can just see, even without looking at the lap timing, visually just have closed up so much on the 7. Trying to do what I can that time by a little bit more than a tenth was the advantage. On his back bumper, we got the 9 up ahead, who's a lap car. I don't know if we're going to get to him. He does seem a bit slow off the pace. 7 kind of took a low line there out of 4, so I try to look high to see if I could cross over. We get to his inside. This is going to be similar to the lap 29 deal. Oh, make contact again. Gets a little loose. He doesn't hit the wall this time, though. He continues on. White flag this time out of 4. I don't know if I'm going to have enough time to get back to him to try to make a pass. Take a look at that contact, too, after the race is done. Eclipse the apron, maybe just a hair. I don't think it really affected him much. We're still sitting 2 tenths back. It's going to take him blowing the corner or something. Come out of 4, no shot, but I will gladly take a 3rd place finish. Starting 8th, pretty good. Honestly, I wasn't sure if I had the pace to even get to 3rd. I thought just getting by the 5 would feel like a victory in itself if it happened, so we'll take that. I will get the overlays off, and we'll take a look at everything that happened. Let's jump back out. So we will start back at lap 29. I would show you guys the tires. Unfortunately, don't have the option to do that. Let's take a look at lap 29, though. So we'll back this up just a little bit. This is going to be coming off of turn 2. So the 7 was already trying to work to my outside at this point. The 5 and the 3 were single file up ahead. You can see the 7 working the outside. I was aware of that, trying to stay off of him, but still carry a little bit of momentum out. Let's see the point when the 5... so this was after those 2 had single filed. Let's watch this in real time again. 7 again being the 76 on the car, but on the outside. Looks like maybe a little bit of contact netcode. And yeah, I got kind of turned. He hit the wall. Coming out of 2. So let's look at the whole corner. Look at it from both perspectives. I almost feel like that was kind of a racing deal. Let's see. So we're going to go into turn 1. He's about on my right rear or so. I'm about a half a car length off the back of the 5. So he's starting to drive in a little bit deeper than I am because he's closing up. He's to the numbers, even though he's about a half a car without. Now the thing that I want to note that we're going to watch, if you follow the lane markers, you can kind of see this up past the blue wall on the infield and where the fence then cuts in to reveal more grass. You can see that the lane markers don't follow the same radius as the thick white line on the apron. So don't use the lane markers as a judge of who's doing what lane, how far off the bottom, because it's not the same radius. So it's going to mislead you and make you think that if somebody was following it, you can see it actually gets tighter up at one point and then kind of comes back out. So if somebody follows that, then they're technically pinching down to the white and then coming back up. So I'm going to call both of these in reference off of the white line. That was something to kind of make note of. So I kind of washed up just a hair there, but not much. The way the corners are, you kind of almost have to take this weird, like, diamond type apex thing when you're on the inside line, especially when you're trying to hold it tight. So it's not unexpected. Cutting back down here again, you can see, again, another one of those. It's like a double apex in the corner when you're on the inside. It's kind of weird. So continue to come back down towards the turtles. Here's the point where I'm starting to come off. I'm coming right, but the funny thing is he's continuing to come down or at least hold this line, so he's really giving me like very little to come, very little room to come off the corner, which aggressive driving, basically what he's trying to do, if you're new to the theory, is pinch me down because it'll make me have to wait a little bit longer to get back into the throttle to get off the corner, kind of killing my momentum. It'll also allow him to get on the throttle, have a little bit more of the track to use, so he can get to the throttle earlier while I have to get to it later, which allows him to carry momentum off the corner and hopefully get by me on the outside. I have zero problems with that move. I've done that move in ARCA or other stuff to people. The thing that I think when you run it is you have to be aware of how much room they're giving. You're giving the other car on the inside to come off the corner. You cannot expect them just literally run the apron all the way around the track. If it were Talladega or Daytona, we were drafting, that's a different story. But any other car, you gotta give them some kind of lane to come up off the corner. It's just the natural direction the car wants to head. And it's what everybody expects to do. And when I'm on a single monitor and I have no visibility to my right side at all, I, I'm kind of guessing where he is and hoping that I know without driving into him. So if a little bit of contact, if he's going to pinch me that hard, if a little bit of contact is going to happen between our doors or our quarter panels, that's kind of what it is. Like if he had given me, it'd be different if he was up here trying to pinch me, and staying at this point, giving me, basically this whole lane on the bottom. That's a little bit different. But when he's coming down this aggressively, contact's going to happen at times. And it would be the exact same thing if I was in his position here on the outside. I would expect for the inside car to make contact with me. And when contact happens, it's anybody's guess. Like, you would expect cars to go one direction, but sometimes they can do different things. So you can't necessarily get angry about it. So we make contact there. Might have been netcode, maybe. I don't know if we. It's hard to say. So it kind of straightens my car out. So you can see at this point, I'm based on the steering and the throttle trace, I'm preparing for an exit out of the corner, kind of releasing the steering deflection as well as full throttle. So then we're going to end up netcoding here, which is when I started to feel the contact, and I was trying to turn the car, get it back to the left to get it off of them because it's starting to turn me to the right. Lifting off the throttle here. I'm going to crank on the brake, trying to keep it off of them. We made contact at this point, so we're locked there. And it's going to send him into the outside wall. It gets me in a slide. He almost doors it, hits it with the right rear first. Here's the 10 right here is the 80 on the car. Or 08, whichever direction you want to look at that. I'm going to assume 08. So he's just staying behind me. I don't think he was a little too close to be able to cut to the right to get by me. But I almost call that one a racing deal, a racing incident. Like, no fault, really. I mean, the 10 or the 7, if you want to slide fault to anybody, like, definitely I think was driving a bit aggressively, pinching me down. Maybe you put a little bit on him, but it's kind of just you guys racing side by side hard. And in these races where there's no cautions, it's tough to pass because we're on a fixed setup. We're all really close in lap times. You got to do all you can to try to get by somebody when you have the opportunity. So I can't necessarily fault them for it, but it also kind of put me in a spot where the contact was going to be really hard to avoid, assuming normal driving on my perspective. I mean, sure, like I said, I could have stayed on the white line, but I don't think that's reasonable to expect out of anybody. So back it up again. I want to look at it from his perspective. just to see what he looks like. So we'll back it in a little bit behind. Corner entry again into one. We're kind of staying equal distance apart from each other as well. And you're going to see him. This is where I kind of drifted up a little bit. It's that first apex that I took. I start cutting back down. He's starting to cut down here already because you can see he's closed the gap again. Again, I'm going to come out just a little bit. Gap kind of stays the same there. I start coming in, and it's like he points the car left a little bit more, again, to try to pinch me down. And that's where he's leaving very little room. And that's where that netcode happens. And then we make the contact, go into the wall. Very light wall contact out of him. I don't think that was going to do any damage to the car. So, like I said, racing deal to me, maybe slightly his fault. I don't know. You guys can let me know in the comments below what you think. So we're going to jump ahead to what happened with the 2. I believe that was somewhere around lap 40. All right, so back this up. This is the one up ahead, the 2 right here. I'm going to follow these 2. We've got the 8 as a lap car up ahead. So they send it into 1 and 2. 2's trying to get to the inside. He's got the 8 on the outside, and net goes across the 8's nose. And then the track almost clogs up. Alright, so let's rewind that. Let's look at the initial contact between the 2 and the 8. Because what I can tell you, the 2 after the race was not very happy with the 8. So they go into the corner. You got the 8 running about a lane and a half, kind of cuts down in front of the 1. And then he sees him, and I think he kind of freaks out because he pulls it right. And it's almost like he gets it into a bit of a slide because it kind of looks like the rear end kicks out. So the 1's going to take that opportunity to try to get to his inside. The 2's trying to get to the inside of the 1 because he's a little bit quicker. So now it's almost 3 wide at this point, off of turn 2. The 1's going to clear the 8 at this point. The 2's trying to get to the inside of the 1, but also set himself up for that later entry that they've been taking into turn 3. So he's still continuing to come up the track. So he's not quite clear of the 8, and netcode just starts right here. Because if you look, you're going to see the car right there is where it kicks to the right. And there's still an actual visual gap. So netcode just gets the 2 across the nose of the 8, sends him into the outside wall. Obviously nothing the 8 could do to avoid it at that point. I mean, the 8 probably should have entered a little bit higher. I probably should have realized how close that the 1 and the 2 were, how quickly they were approaching, maybe give them a little bit more room. I probably would have done that going into the corner, but you also can't expect a lap car to just slam on the brakes and stop to let everybody by. So I don't think it's completely unreasonable what the 8 was doing, and he was holding, after the freakout moment, he was kind of holding a predictable line. So it's not like he was erratic all over the track or anything. I don't know. I don't really think the 8 did anything wrong. I think it really was just a netcode thing. So you see the 2 spinning. He's going to hit the wall. We're going to look back because the 11 gets in this, which I want to see how he gets involved. So there's the wreck. He just jumps on the brakes hard, and it locks it up, spins it around. I don't know what he was running for brake bias, but he just hits the brakes, and it locks it up. So at this point, they've now clogged the entire middle part of the track. Like, there's a tiny bit of a lane to the outside and a tiny bit of a lane to the inside here. So they have clogged the entire track. So here comes the 9. Poor 9 was lapped down at this point. I think he was the one that was parked to the inside that we saw. So he's going to come into this. He does a really good job of jumping on the brakes and basically stopping, trying to figure out where to go. And then, ta-da, there's the 3. The 3 comes flying in. So, look at what happens. Why the 3 comes flying in. Yeah, we're going to actually drop this down because this will give us a little bit of a better view. So, the 3 sees that. I think he expects the 9 to cut underneath here and just take that gap. I don't know if he didn't realize the 9 was almost at a dead stop or what exactly he's thinking, but he then tries to shoot that gap because he thinks the 9 should be closer to his pace coming through it, so He'll close up to him, but shouldn't get to the back of him, as quickly as he did. So when he did, he's got the freak out moment, jumps on the brakes. You can actually see the car kind of kick out because he's turning it but jumping on the brakes, so it's kicking the rear end out. He's going to slam into the back of him right there. So we're going to zoom back out. So now we have clogged the entire bottom, and you just have this gap up top. Here comes the 3 or the 5 that we were following. See how he gets into it. There's also me. You can see me in the background. So maybe we'll look at it from my perspective. Jump back close again. So I jump on the brakes. I'm trying to keep it straight to keep it from spinning. I just try to get stopped to avoid hitting anybody. Somehow do. So the 5 was able to check up, kind of gets through it, and then somehow gets turned by the 9. Let's look at what happened to him. This wreck looked like one that the further back you were, the better visibility you had to seeing what was going on, and the easier it was to try to navigate your way through it, or set a plan to navigate through it. So 5 jumps on the brakes, kind of clips the front end of the 11, and it looks like who's like the 3 and the 9 are just netcoding / connected together. I don't know. They both just bounced. I don't even know if they bounced off the wall. It's like they just kind of try to turn right to rejoin, and the 5 was kind of turning down at the same point to get a corner exit, and all 3 just made contact, and the 5 is going to go spin across the nose of both of them. So really tough break for him. I think I still would have gotten by him on the outside, but tough break for him. Then everybody gets straightened up. They get going. Now the 9 gets turned by the 3 again into the 4. Now he goes upside down. So poor 9 catches 2 times he gets hit when he was doing everything right to avoid the wreck. I mean, that's the problem with the D-Class series with no cautions is if you want the best finish, obviously you just kind of have to go into these wrecks as quickly as you can and try to get all you can out of it. He was practicing the right wreck avoidance by slowing down and trying to navigate his way through it. And unfortunately, the cars behind just kind of took shots. So, with cautions, obviously, I would hope everybody would have stopped and we wouldn't have ARCA brakes, but, that's what that is. So, last car to look at is to see how the heck the 7 gets by on the outside. I think he was, again, just in the best spot for kind of watching this thing develop. So, I mean, this is a little bit of a bigger view, again, because you can see up ahead, but he sees it developing. He sees all of us go low. He thinks there's a gap, and there is, and it just goes by on the outside. Yeah, the further back you were, hindsight, I probably should have tried to done that. I think it was a little, I probably could have made it work, but I was just worried about getting stopped and not hitting anybody. So, I don't really hate my decision. Like I said, the 7 came out looking great. Obviously, the 1 got away, retained the race lead and the win. The 7 went from 6th to 2nd, so, good gain for him. He just was in the right spot to have everything. What was almost a clogged track kind of open up to the top side, and he was able to get by, so good for him. Zero problems with that. And so then let's jump back out, and we will jump back to me, as well as take a look at what happened there. I believe it was lap 49. So we'll set this up. You're going to see this kind of, it's not a block by any means. I'm not upset with it. The 7 just saw that I was working the inside, I think, off the corners, and went to try to take that line away. So we'll set it up here coming into 3. We've got, this is lap 48. We're going to come to 2 to go. I kind of checked up. Almost got into his left rear. Didn't want to make contact with him. So you can see he kind of hung a little bit lower. So now I try to go to the inside to cross underneath him. He just gives me the bottom, I guess. And then we make contact again. Almost the exact same setup as earlier in the race through 1 and 2. So take a look at it, do the same exact thing. So coming into the corner, I'm basically in line with his back bumper. So I was not going to be making any kind of dive bomb to the inside. He ends up, you're going to watch, he just doesn't cut down the bottom. If he would have cut down the bottom, it would have been on me to jump on the brakes to try to avoid him. But he just gives me the inside line. So at that point, I'm going to try to work the inside to see if I can take it away from him. Come here, trying to work those turtles again, kind of do that little bit of that double apex in a way. Almost even with them. This time I do catch the turtles. And you can see it shoots the car up the track because I've still got a good bit of left wheel into it, and I was not full throttle at that point. So this was not a planned corner exit by any means. I was trying to work that 3/4 throttle position, kind of, half whatever, and unfortunately catch the turtles. It kicks me out a little bit, but he's kind of doing the exact same thing. I think that's just his driving style. Was he was just trying to pinch me down, because you can see he's still again continuing to come down off, and this time I think he almost leaves me maybe a little bit of less room on the exit. I think the closing rate between our two cars was a little bit quicker because of me hitting the turtles and it shooting me to the right, but it almost looks like he was trying to pinch me harder, which 2 laps to go. I get it. I've got zero problems with that's the move that he wants to take, but you got to understand at the same time, regardless of if I had hit the turtles, if you're going to pinch me down, you got to expect when you're pinching somebody down that hard that the inside car is probably going to lean on you coming out. Not to wreck you, but just because they're expecting a little bit more room to the high side to exit the corner. They're not expected to be forced all the way on the white line all the way around the corner. So, I don't know. This one I assigned a little bit more blame to me. Like, whereas the first one was racing incident slash slightly the Seven's fault, this one I'm going to call racing incident slash slightly my fault for getting the turtles, because had I not gotten the turtles, I don't think I would have gotten into them quite as early. But I think the contact was still probably going to happen because he was pinching even more aggressively off the corner. Um, thankfully, this time it didn't affect him by sending him in the outside wall, and I didn't even get his loose. So was able to, close. We stayed about this car length back or so, and at least brought it home in third place. So it was a really good race. That's why I wanted to show you guys. I had a lot of fun in it. Pace wise, I wasn't all that far off from the top two. Obviously, the one was not Justin Brooks that we've run the first couple weeks with, who's just amazingly fast at these. But I was pretty happy with feeling like I made some progress, learning the car a little bit better, and tire wear, keeping pace up, all that kind of thing. It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of good battles. It was a lot of really, aggressive racing, but not dirty, stupid driving. Just aggressive, hard, short track racing that might be a little too aggressive for what I would have done had the roles been reversed, but not anything egregious and stupid like I've seen before. It's not like crazy dive bombs or anything dumb that I've seen from short track races before. It was a really good race. It was a lot of fun. And aside from that one wreck, it really was a clean race. There weren't a ton of lappers doing a ton of stuff, dumb stuff. It wasn't people wrecking all over the place. It was actually, like I said, a really good race, which is why I wanted to show you guys this one. It's not the normal way that I do it, but yeah. So let me know what you guys think on both deals with the 7, both in the middle part of the race, the end, as well as the wreck there too. Yeah, it was pretty fun. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. Love to hear from you guys, and we'll get back to normal recordings here soon. And hopefully you guys enjoy the holiday for America as well. And until the next one, I hope all your laps are fast, your races are clean, and your finishes are good. Thanks for watching.